In general, we all know what anemia is. Anemia is a condition in which blood cells doesn't have enough healthy RBCs, leading to reduced oxygen flow in the body, having symptoms like fatigue, paleness in the skin, shortness of breath, dizziness, and so forth. We all have seen or we all know what anemia is in general. But today we'll be talking about a particular type of anemia that is known as sickle cell anemia. Do we understand all its manifestations? It's a very old disease, but still, are you and your family in the risk zone or not? Do you know about it? What should be your health toolkit? Hello and welcome to Bioimaging. I'm Dr. Somnath Ghatak and today is World Sickle Cell Anemia Day. According to Annals of Medical History, in 1910 is regarded as the date of the discovery of sickle cell disease, making 2021 as the 111th anniversary of that discovery. But just what does it mean to say the disease was discovered? About 7% of the world's population is carrier of some form of hemoglobin disorder. Sickle cell disease affects millions of people throughout the world and is particularly common among those ancestors coming from sub-Saharan Africa, Spanish-speaking regions in the Western Hemisphere, South America, the Caribbean, the Central America, countries like Saudi Arabia, India, Mediterranean countries specifically like Turkey, Greece and Italy. According to WHO, there are about 270 million carriers of sickle cell anemia or other hemoglobin disorders basically. So in India, sickle cell gene carriers frequency range from 5 to 40%. That is huge. The disorder we call sickle cell disease had been present in Africa for at least 5,000 years and has been known by many names in many tribal languages. What we call it discovery in 1910 occurred not in Africa but in the United States. A young man named Walter Clement Noel, a dental student studying in Chicago, went to Dr. James B. Herrick, who is basically a cardiologist, and he complained about pain episodes, symptoms of anemia. As Dr. Herrick was a cardiologist, he didn't show much interest and he referred to a resident doctor, Ernst Iron. Irons examined Noel's blood under the microscope and saw red blood cells he described as having the shape of a sickle. When Herrick saw this in the chart, he became interested and he saw that this might be something unknown and some new disease discovery. He subsequently worked on it and published a paper in one of the medical journals in which he used the term sickle cell or sickle-shaped cells of the RBC. Sickle cell anemia or just sickle cell disease, where red blood cells becomes the shape of a crescent or sickle. Now let's see how this happens. Hemoglobin is a protein which is expressed by a particular gene. This gene has alleles. Alleles are nothing but variants of this particular type of gene. Why alleles are important? Because each of these alleles are inherited from our parents. The combination of these alleles received from both the parents decide the genetic combination of the child or the offspring. Now, individuals having both the alleles of a gene, that is HbA and HbA, result into normal RBC formations. And the normal shape is concave, which will produce normal type of hemoglobin. But in other case, if one allele is normal but the other allele is mutant gene, that is HBS. In this case, the other allele, which is the HBS allele, is responsible for production of faulty hemoglobin in the beta chain. At the 6th position, glutamic acid gets replaced by valine. So in this case, 50% of the RBCs are going to be normal and 50% of the RBCs are going to be sickle-shaped. When individual shows this kind of trait or situation, then the oxygen carrying capacity of the defective hemoglobin is low because it will not be able to bind with enough oxygen. As a result, it affects their physical abilities, resulting into fatigue. There is another condition in a situation where both the alleles are similar, that is HBS. So a person who inherits both the mutant alleles HBS, that condition is called homozygous recessive condition. In this case, both the alleles are defective and all the RBCs which are going to be produced are also defective or sickle-celled. So individual in this case has very less chances of survival. Now, what is the risk of inheriting sickle cell anemia? As mentioned earlier, sickle cell disease is a genetic condition that is present at birth. It is inherited when a child receives 2 sickle cell genes, each one from each parent. There are chances that you may look normal, but you may have sickle cell trait. Individuals who inherit one sickle cell gene and one normal gene are known to be a carrier or known to have sickle cell trait. This type of people does not have any symptoms, but they act as carriers and they pass this trait to their children. Thus, it is important to know your and your family history. Sickle cell disease can be diagnosed very easily with the help of a simple microscope and a blood test. It most often is found at birth during routine newborn screening test in the hospital. In addition, sickle cell disease can be diagnosed before birth in terms of prenatal diagnosis. Before child or children with sickle cell disease are at an increased risk of infection and other health problems, early diagnosis and treatments can play an important role. You can call your local sickle cell organization or you can visit your hospital nearby to find out and get yourself tested. So are there any cure? There is, but these methods are really complicated and the chances are very low. The only cure for sickle cell disease is bone marrow transplant or stem cell transplant. These procedures are usually involved with high risk and low success rate. So, early diagnosis is the key. Genetic counseling is important. One should see his or her family pedigree or genetic history. In country like India, where horoscopes are being matched before marriages, people should also match their genes. By genes, I do not mean the genes you are wearing, but the genes which is running in your blood. Visit a genetic counselor and secure your future with just one drop. According to CDC, newborn screening guidelines are also provided. Check the website and update yourself.